Today's deck is pretty darn awful and you should not try it. What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today we're trying out a Galarian Weezing Aerodactyl Vstar deck on the Pokemon TCG Online because this deck did okay in an online event and apparently it counters a lot of the meta decks, so I figured let's try it out because people want to know if it's actually good or not. So we'll do a quick deck profile and then jump into some gameplay analysis for today's deck. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon TCG content and check out all of my great sponsors in the description down below, and also leave a like and a comment. It really helps out the video. With this deck, we'll be choosing to go second so that we can use Coughing's Ascension attack on turn 1. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and evolve it. So Coughing will be evolving into Galarian Weezing, which has the ability Neutralizing Gas. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's Pokemon in play have no abilities except for Neutralizing Gas, and it can use the Severe Poison attack to poison your opponent's active Pokemon, and that does 4 damage counters instead of 1 during Pokemon Checkup, which is the in-between turns. Additionally, to shut off abilities, we have the V-Star Power Ancient Star on Aerodactyl V-Star, which costs 1 colorless and reads until this Pokemon leaves play. It gains an ability that has the effect your opponent's Pokemon V in play, except Aerodactyl V-Star, have no abilities. Combining this Aerodactyl V-Star's Ancient Star with Galarian Weezing's Neutralizing Gas, we can shut off all of the abilities in the game, and we can keep them shut off as long as this Aerodactyl V-Star sits on the bench. So even if they can boss around or escape rope or knock out our Weezings, as long as this Aerodactyl V-Star survives, they will not have any abilities on their Pokemon V. This deck also plays a Flying Pikachu Vmax with Max Balloon that does 160 and prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon, so that you can essentially wall out any basic only decks. But I will give you guys a heads up, I did not really get to use this Flying Pikachu Vmax in the gameplay today. Starting out with a game against Mu Vmax here. Now, Mu Vmax is not one of this deck's targeted matchups that it was supposedly built to beat. I think we're really focusing on taking care of Lugia Vstar decks and also Comfy Engine Lost Zone decks. But, you know, shutting off the abilities of Mu Vmax should be pretty good. We just don't have great attackers. We do have the Yveltal from Celebrations that can discard some energies, but we do only have 1 of that. And we have Dark Pokemon and Dark Energy in our deck, just nothing that can even come close to one-shotting a Mu Vmax. So we can try to turn off their abilities and see if that does the trick. They did already get to use, you know, their turn 1's worth of Farseal Stone plus a bunch of Fusion Strike systems and get a nice board set up. So we'll see here if we can establish a Coughing and then ascend it up into Weezing. But I do worry about this deck's damage output against Mu Vmax, because if Mu Vmax can just get some double turbo energies down, then they're good to go for just running through our board essentially, and we don't have any one-shot knockout potential with any of our attackers. So we do get Path to the Peak, and we get to ascend up into Galarian Weezing, so all of their abilities are gone. They do bump the Lost City, but that doesn't get rid of the Neutralizing Gas, only the Path to the Peak. And there you'll see they just retreat into Oricorio and pass. So now we're kind of free to set up our board a little bit more, however that is going to be. I get that Yveltal from Celebrations down with the Cry of Destruction, get another energy attached to my board, and then we poison the Oricorio. It takes 40 in between turns. Unfortunately, that Oricorio will be knocked out going back into the opponent's turn, which is the worst case here. And since that poison is already set on the Oricorio, I can just retreat into this Galarian Weezing that doesn't have any energy. So if this happens, I don't lose a Weezing that had energy on it. So they do have Mu Vmax, they have double turbo energy, and they'll just be able to start taking some knockouts here on my board. And so there goes down the first Galarian Weezing, and I'll just go ahead and poison this Mu Vmax with Severe Poison. And Chromatic Tails, that's nice to see. But Mu Vmax itself and Mu V, in addition, both have free retreat. So they can just heal themselves from the poison every turn by just free retreating out of it. And it's pretty frustrating to play against when you're just trying to apply special conditions. So I felt like this game was mostly a lost cause, but I kept playing just to see what I could make happen. So we get a Crobat V here to try to draw some more cards. Do note that Aerodactyl Vstar is going to essentially be useless in this game. I don't want to say useless, but like we don't really want to put out a 2-prize Pokemon with pretty low to mid HP for our opponent to just take 2 prizes on, because they were functioning under our Path to the Peak plus Galarian Weezing just by attaching an energy, taking a knockout. They can do that if we put that Aerodactyl out there as well. So I didn't really want to use the Aerodactyl V-Star's V-Star attack. I felt like it was a little bit of a waste to put the 2-prizer out there, but we will see. So I put out the Yveltal with Cry of Destruction so we can remove some energies, and I do set up that Aerodactyl V-Star so that it could potentially attack if needed. And I also put down a Path to the Peak so that they do not have abilities, and I removed 2 of their energies. Unfortunately, they do have the Lost Vacuum, so they are going to be able to remove the Path to the Peak, and now they'll just try to draw a bunch of cards because they want a Boss's Orders or a Serena so that they can bring up my Crobat V and knock it out for 2 prizes. They've already used their Forest Seal Stone V-Star power for the game, so they can't use that to get their Boss's Orders. They flip a Tails on Cremo-Matic here, draw up some more cards with Fusion Strike system, and there's the Boss's Orders. So that game versus Mu Vmax was pretty rough, and my worries about this deck's damage output definitely came to fruition in that game. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I should have tried to aggro into like a turn 2 Aerodactyl V-Star in that matchup, and if you think there's some player error going on with this deck, for sure. But here we are finally up against a Lugia Vstar, which is supposedly ripe for the picking here with the Galarian Weezing deck. So we're going to Serena, draw some more cards, and get that turn 1 Ascension. Also benching a Flying Pikachu because against this deck we actually do have one-shot potential since Lugia Vstar is weak to Flying Pikachu Vmax. So I get that turn 1 Ascension. Our opponent evolves up into a Lugia Vstar and attaches a Capture Energy, gets another Lugia down, also benches a Stoutland. It looks like we're playing against Tord Rekalev's list, and then they will Marnie. I bench Coughing, attach another energy, and then just Severe Poison their Dunsparce. So apply that 4 damage counter poison. The Dunsparce will be knocked out if they don't retreat it this turn. They Serena up our Flying Pikachu V, and I still don't have an Aerodactyl down, which would be great to have, but I do not have that. So they Serena this up so that they can use the Luminion's ability to get a research for next turn and then retreat into the Luminion and pass it over to me. So I still have no way to get into an Aerodactyl V, unfortunately, but I can retreat back into my Galarian Weezing and use Severe Poison again, and also have that Neutralizing Gas active, which is most important. So that Luminion now has 40 damage on it. They attach an Aurora Energy and discard an Archeops with it. They go up to 80 damage on the Luminion V and pass it back over. I'm just going to retreat and Ascend this turn, so I don't need to apply poison to a Pokemon that already has poison on it, so I can just retreat and still have that ability lock. But they are going to be able to attack with Luminion and shuffle it back into their deck, which is really good for them. And here we'll just go ahead, attach an Aurora to Flying Pikachu V, evolve that Flying Pikachu V into VMAX, and knock out the Dunsparce with Severe Poison. Unfortunately, the opponent has a Serena to bring up my Flying Pikachu VMAX, and if they have 3 powerful colorless energies plus a belt, they will be able to knock out the Flying Pikachu VMAX, and this spells disaster. I still have not gotten an Aerodactyl V, but I finally have that Quick Ball now from the prize card, so I'm gonna go and search out an Yveltal, it looks like, because I think it's too late for Aerodactyl V. Like, Aerodactyl V-Star shuts off all V Pokemon abilities, and they have no V Pokemon abilities that they want to even use anymore. They're going to go ahead and boss up my Yveltal, knock it out, and I just scoop. Giving this deck one more try. So far, we're 0-2 with it. I think 3 games for these videos is plenty, but let me know what you think in the comments down below if I should do less or more than 3 per deck, especially when it's a more creative or rogue or less popular deck like this one. I'd love some feedback on that. So we are playing against Lugia again, and I have the turn 1 Ascension. Oh boy, can we do it? We get Aerodactyl V. I play down a Path to the Peak, maybe? No, I'm going to hold on to the Path to the Peak, discard that Weezing because I know I have more in the deck, and I am going to play down the Path to the Peak now, and then ascend up into the Galarian Weezing to lock them with the neutralizing gas. The Lugia has a very short turn there, and I'm going to be able to grab my Aerodactyl Vstar, and it looks like maybe I can make some things happen with this Aerodactyl Vstar. Now, I'm going to quick ball and thin out the deck because I really need to hit an energy here so I can use my Aerodactyl. We do hit energy, and Aerodactyl's V-Star attack needs any kind of energy. It just needs colorless. So we're able to use the V-Star attack to turn off our opponent's Pokemon V's abilities for the rest of the game, as long as Aerodactyl V-Star stays on the board. And then I can just retreat here, poison the Dunsparce, and this is looking pretty good. The opponent just attaches to Lugia, passes, let the Dunsparce get knocked out, and it's back to my turn. Now here I would like to attack with the Aerodactyl V-Star to do 240 damage, but I also don't want to Marnie, but I guess I do want to Marnie here, so I am going to Marnie. And then I Severe Poison to not leave my Aerodactyl in the active because they already had 2 powerful colorless energies on the Lugia V-Star, so that would knock out my Aerodactyl V-Star with a belt, so I didn't want to just promote that and let it get knocked out. Now this feels pretty good. We can knock out that Lugia. It gets knocked out after the poison is over, and we get the scoop, and we finally win a game with Aerodactyl Weezing. Closing thoughts on Galarian Weezing Aerodactyl V-Star. I love Galarian Weezing. It's probably my favorite card from Rebel Clash. There wasn't too much competition in that set, to be fair, but I love Galarian Weezing, love building decks with it, love playing it. It's a super fun card for me because I can try to play with this super weak Pokemon, but shut down my opponents if they're relying on abilities. But in this case, I think they're, like we saw Lugia V-Star be able to beat it. We also saw Galarian Weezing beat the Lugia V-Star if I can get the Aerodactyl V-Star ability off, but the deck just feels way too gimmicky for me, and if the opponent can put some kind of strategy or game plan together even without their abilities or with limited abilities, our deck can't do much. The deck only succeeds if the opponent's deck completely shuts down, in my opinion, and it's not a very guaranteed feeling of control, like something like an actual control deck where you're removing all of their resources. This feels too gimmicky, like I said. So I don't think this is like a real meta deck. You can try it out for yourselves if you'd like, but I don't think this deck will be seeing any in real life tournament success anytime soon, and I'm comfortable putting this deck down for now myself. So hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for daily Pokemon TCG content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.